Hello and welcome to USTS, the Ultimate Sports and Training Show. I'll be your host for today's show, Bob Lemire. Joining me on today's show, the multi-talented martial art enthusiast, singer, songwriter. I don't know. There's a million things this guy does. We're going to talk about it tonight. Mr. Mark Skedler. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Thank you, Bob. I got to say the first thing right off the bat is the music isn't mine, so the roll-in music has to be updated.
Okay, yeah. Mark wants to update my intro. All right, we'll work on that. We'll talk to Gary. Mark and myself go back. I think it was the '90s, early '90s.
The winter of '89, I believe.
Winter of '89. Yeah. There you go. Sounds like a movie or a song.
Well, it's when I moved to Pelham. So.
Okay, and that's when we started training together.
Correct.
We were training together in the early all through the '90s. Taekwondo up in Pelham, and then as things happen, life happens. Then you separate. Family or jobs or whatever, and both of us didn't see each other for the longest time. Then all of a sudden, here we are working at the same company again after almost 30 years, 20-something years. So before we get going, Mark, just give us a little rundown of your life and things you're going into now, and we'll work right from there.
Okay. Well, I've had an interest in martial arts ever since I was probably, I think I started at 9 years old. I spent a lot of time growing up at the YMCA, and they had martial arts programs there.
Right.
And they also had soccer programs. So it was interesting that the martial arts instructor for jiu-jitsu, which is what I started off with, was also a soccer instructor. And once he started to see that I had a skill in playing soccer, right, he moved me into Shotokan, so I could do the
right,
kicking and whatever.
Yeah.
So I started off at a pretty early age, but I wasn't really consistent. I started a little bit and then, fade away into other things. Of course, you get the baseball and the...
Everything.
Everything, yes.
Everything that because you're, as I say, as I talk to you, we meet each other in the hallway every once in a while at work, and I talk to him for 5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. I'm exhausted at what you're doing today. I mean, you've got an energy level I've never seen in a person. So you went to Shotokan in soccer, and then because I sometimes you're going to see me fly right off, right? And I just hate to lose a thought. But when did your music started coming to play?
Well, again, I grew up in kind of a musical family.
Right.
So I was exposed to it a lot. I never became serious until I was probably 18 or 19.
Okay.
I joined the Merchant Marine and traveled around the world and carried my guitar with me everywhere I went.
Excellent.
So I would be, sitting on the ship and just watching the dolphins go by and playing my guitar for them. And
wow. Sounds like a movie. The Merchant Marine. I remember you telling me that, and I forgot about that.
Yep.
How many years?
I only spent about 3.5 years doing that.
Right.
I went through Maine Maritime Academy for a while, and then I went to the Union Trade School down in Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay.
Went to sea for about a year and a half, and decided that really wasn't what I wanted to do for the long term.
Right,
So I headed off into the real world.
Right. In the real world. Is that what we have right now?
Yeah.
And so, because, over the years, I remember I worked at Wang, and I was doing circuit boards and stuff, and you were at MKS at the time.
Correct.
And we were talking, we were doing some stuff, and then we started really training. We trained good 10 years together in the 90s, I would think.
Yep.
And then, as I say, we lost contract. We just, everything just happens fast. You're here one day, and you have a big family.
Yes, I have many children that I helped raise and put through school.
Yeah. So now, and then you went to yoga. You did some yoga.
I did.
Right.
Yep. I did I've done a bunch of training pretty much all over the world. I went to Costa Rica, and I've been to a place called Kripalu in the western Massachusetts.
Yep.
It's a beautiful place, out in the Berkshires, right next to Tanglewood.
Right.
Yep. I enjoy doing that.
You're still doing it? The yoga?
I've cut way back.
Right.
Had a hip surgery that didn't go as well as I wanted it to.
Right.
So physically, that made a lot of the postures that I really enjoyed doing, because I've always been. The reason I really love Taekwondo is it's physical.
Right. Yeah.
And the yoga is not quite that.
Right.
But it's
Tai Chi.
I'm going to have to do the Tai Chi if I want to do
see.
any more martial arts. Mostly what I've done is I've dialed it back to meditation, a lot of breathing exercises.
Right.
And I was really surprised at how much it helped when I started recording my voice
Right.
and singing.
Right.
Is those breathing exercises
Right.
were really helpful.
Right. And that's what, and the show is sports, it's a sports and training. And when I say training, I like to get people who are the elite in what they do. You're elite in whatever you do, but music is I can see it's your passion.
Oh yeah, I love music.
You're just so passionate to a point where I don't even think you sleep at night. As I tell,
Well, no, I slept until 3:00 this morning.
there you go.
And
There you
then,
go. Yeah. And so, what's going on with the music world? Because it's almost like I should get your autograph, because I have a feeling you're going to break through. You're just not going to give up, and I like that. That's passionate. That's a passionate spirit you have.
Well, we can always have those dreams. I mean,
Well,
dreams are what keeps us going.
That's
keeps
what it
us
is.
young and
That's right.
invigorated.
That's right. And it's funny because I remember years ago, you wanted to hook up with Master Shudo. Or Grandmaster Shudo now.
Right.
He's one of the grandmasters at our school, and I said, "What's Mark doing?" He's going, Mark wants to put some songs together, and he's got some ideas, and he wants me to play on it and stuff. And that was what, 20 years ago, 30 years ago,
Yeah.
I think so. And I went, wow. And then all of a sudden, now think about it. That's a long time. You've been thinking about certain things,
Yeah,
and doing things.
It's really challenging to be able to put together a good quality group of musicians to be able to do recordings.
Right.
So, in my instance, the COVID lockdown, as bad as it was for so many things,
Right.
one of the things that it did was it shut down some amazing musicians that were traveling around the world, doing their tours, working with various bands, and they had no source of income. And I had a source of income because I work a day job.
Okay.
So I decided to put together this kind of a COVID project, which is still not complete. And what I did was I reached out to a bunch of world-class musicians and asked if they were interested in working on some music. And they, to a T, to a letter, I mean, they all said, yeah, absolutely. I'm sitting at home doing nothing. I might as well record some music. So
Right.
it's been a really exciting journey, because I have some, like I say, world-class talent that are on my
Now,
songs.
Hidden Hollow. See, as I say, you're going to see me. I'm just going to throw things at you, because if I don't, I'm going to forget.
Yep.
So Hidden Hollow. Explain Hidden Hollow. I'm trying to.
So
Just for the audience.
Hidden Hollow is the name of this project.
Right.
And it's a collection of some really old music that I wrote and wanted to, I call it reimagining it, because it doesn't sound anything like it did when I started out.
Right.
In the old days, I was a punk rocker, interested in that real high energy kind of stuff. And I've taken some of those songs and turned them into, country-ish or ballads or something like that fits my energy level now better than the punk rock does. And I've written some new songs about the actual process of getting old and kind of looking at the world that way. So I'm kind of mixing and matching the stuff together.
Right.
But again, keeping in touch with some of these extraordinary musicians. I mean, I've got people on the songs like Dan Needham, who plays with the Michael McDonald Band. I've got
That's wild. Now, when you do something like that they have connections also, right? And I mean, if all of a sudden you have these ideas and these songs, they have a shot to say, "Hey, you got to listen to this guy." Is that
well? That's always a possibility.
Everything. There's an avenue for everything.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And by the same token, for instance, one of the songs I was working on with Dan Needham, he was doing the drum part, and my guy that I usually use for the bass, Martin Martinick from the Accept heavy metal band, was busy at the time, and I said, well, what do you got for a bass player? Do you know anybody that I can, hook up with to do this song? And he says, absolutely. And he hooked me up with Jacob Lowry, who's the bass player for Michael McDonald. Immediately I've got this awesome rhythm section that's backing up the track.
Right. Yeah.
So it kind of works that way. I'm getting ready to release another song in the next couple of weeks. And my guitar player, Bart Wildberg, who's an extraordinary Nashville player, working out of Oklahoma at this point, says he's getting ready to go out on his own, do his first solo project at our age.
Yeah.
And he asked me, he says, "Hey, I got this producer that I'm supposed to be hooking up with. Can I let him listen to this song? Because this really sounds good, and this can represent what I want to do for my music, or some of the capabilities."
That's right. Yeah.
So that stuff is always lurking out there in the shadows.
Yeah.
But I've been around the music stuff for so long that I can't spend a lot of time focusing on trying to become, rich and famous or whatever. I just want to do the music.
Someone realizes your talent, and you do have a talent. You're a humble guy, so you're going to say, yeah, and that's how you are. But you do have a talent, and when it comes to mixing music together, I mean, the way you talk about it, and you do it on the side or another job is
right. Yeah. So I also mix bands, live bands,
right.
and I've been doing a lot more lighting lately. So right. I actually do the lighting shows.
Right.
Mostly because there's less people out there to actually do the lighting. You can always find somebody to run sound, but finding somebody to run the lights is a different kind of
I would
story.
know that. You think everyone knows what you're talking about. No one knows what you're talking about. They know lighting and then sound, but what's the difference in them? You know what I'm saying? You're saying this to me, and I'm like, yeah, what's the difference? And and that's what makes an elite person in that field.
Right.
And I was looking at your you're on Facebook, right? You are on Facebook.
Yep.
I was looking at Facebook and the light shows that you were doing, or the shows that were done. I don't know what you were doing at the show.
Right. Yep.
And it looked phenomenal.
No, thank you.
And I go, wow. And they were congratulating everyone on the greatest, And I said, wow, look at what Mark's doing there with this stuff. I mean, and then you're working a full-time job.
Yes, there's. You got to pay for it somehow.
And when do you sleep? There's no. And then you have a family.
Yes.
Wow, it's an energy level but that's something that not many people have. Not many people have. Think about it. Now, when you say Hidden Hollow, explain Hidden Hollow. I mean, we just went through that, but what is it? The band?
It's an eclectic selection of my music that I've put together over the years.
Right.
So it's not technically a band because it's a project.
Okay.
So what I've done is different songs have different players. I use some of the players on multiple songs just because they're awesome to work with, and they're available.
Right.
But sometimes, for instance, I did this country song. The last song that I released was country-ish. You've Got Something. So I reached out to Allison Prestwood, who is a very renowned bass player out of Nashville. And she did George Benson's last album. She's worked for a bunch of really amazing people. But she's a country award-winning bass player.
Right.
And I just wanted to have somebody that fit that genre for that song. So I reached out to her.
And she did.
And she played on it, yep.
Wow.
Yep. A guy named Tony Mora. I reached out to a different drummer for this because he specializes in that kind of sound.
Wow.
And then, of course, Bart Wildberg, who's on all of the songs except the ones that Jack is on.
See, your resume, I mean, you're reaching out to these people and you just say they're accepting. Your resume is going to speak for itself, or it is. And when you start naming names like you're doing now, they're going, oh, all right, this guy knows what he's doing. He knows the people.
Right.
And it's that circle. It's always the circle. You get in that circle, and Mark has another project. Let's go check it out. Now, when you do these projects, do you get together, or is it all COVID or
So most of it at this point has been COVID.
Right.
So the closest that you get to in person most of the time is Zoom. So get together on Zoom, talk about it. So I do that, especially with Martin Motnick. He's my pretty much go-to bass player.
Okay.
We'll just set up a time to do a Zoom session. I'll mail him the track, send him the track. He'll plug it in and play it, and we'll just talk about what I want to do with the track. And then right while I'm sitting there, he'll be recording, and then he'll bounce that back to me so I can mix it into the
Technology.
mix. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
He could be thousands of miles away, and you guys.
He's actually usually sitting in Nashville.
Wow. Is it? That's what. Is that your next move? You're telling me.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Well, you said something about country, and we talked a couple weeks ago, and you mentioned Nashville. What were you talking about, Nashville?
Well, I'm going to be going down there in August to attend a songwriting retreat with Andrea Stolpe and whoever else shows up for the retreat.
Yeah.
I want to, expand my understanding and my network to be able to do co-writes. Most of the songs that are written at this point that are out there that are the big hits, they're all written by multiple people. So
Right.
people sit around at a table
Right,
and they
yeah.
say, "This is an idea I have. Let's work with that." And 3, 4, 5 people will actually sit around. Somebody will grab a guitar or a keyboard or whatever.
Whatever, musicians.
and
Yeah.
start putting something together, write a song, and then see if it fits somebody.
Now, do you have, say, I don't know if to say corporate, but do you have sponsors who help you could pay for this, or is this something right out of your pocket?
At this point, this is right out of my pocket.
And you're always looking for that. What was it? What would be?
I haven't been looking because I don't want to be influenced as far as what I'm
Right,
doing.
right.
I want the input from the musicians
Right.
as to what they see the song, how they might see the song going differently from where I give it to them.
Yeah.
But I don't really want a corporate body or a sponsor saying, we want this to fit into this category of music. It's like, no, I'm not there yet.
Yeah. It's wow. You got to figure it out. You have it figured out. Now, it's so because money can be made, and it's all not that it's all about money, but money keeps you going,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. Where do you go? What's the move you make so that you can keep going and not worry about and because you have a talent. Let's get like the Beatles, and I always use the Beatles. I'm an old guy, but wow, we got a talent. Let's keep them moving. Money through that, the money was thrown at them
Right.
to keep it going. What do you do?
Well, I really don't know the answer to that. I've been in the music business in and out of
Right.
it for literally decades.
Right.
The first thing that I did when I came back from overseas was I had taken all of the money that I saved, every cent that I saved, and I came home and I bought a PA system
Yeah, yeah.
and a mixing board,
Yeah.
and I started a company with Bart Weilberg, actually,
Right.
to do sound and lighting for bands.
Right. Yeah.
I moved down to the Boston area initially in 1981-ish. Thought I'd make it in the big time, because Boston. And the mistake I had was not actually understanding the market that I was moving into. Coming from Central Maine, the business model up there is you pay bands to come and play because otherwise they don't come there. The business model in Boston is they give you a stack of tickets as a band and say, sell these, and that's how much money you make. So, so I immediately had to take a job working in a factory as a machinist in order to be able to survive, and went back to this model that I use now is I work a real job and then I spend all the rest of my time and money working on my musical projects.
In between your family life.
Yes.
And that family, it's tough. Oh my God. Wow, that's crazy. And that's a passion.
Oh, it definitely is. Yeah.
And so you started playing when you started playing music. Would you say you started not punk rock? It was would you say you?
Yeah, it was punk.
It was punk. So you're going from punk, and now you're waning right into the country scene.
There's country. There's the
Blues?
I don't know, some adult contemporary.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of the distilled, which is probably my best, my most well received song at this point. Is kind of a mixture between ZZ Top and Brian Setzer.
Right.
So it's got the horns and it's got that rock and roll kind of.
And all these are
beat.
musicians that you had to find and ask to play.
Yep.
Every one of them. Wow, that's just phenomenal. But I mean, your resume is starting to build. I mean, think about it. And you're on a roll, and it's fun to watch. I mean, every time I talk to you, you've got something new going on, or you've bought a new PA system, or you. Oh my! I have a lot of. I played the guitar since I was 10, and a lot of my friends are musicians, and man, the money that they spend on their guitars and stuff.
Right.
And I say to myself, I'm like the old Bob Dylan. I got an old guitar that's keeping that. That's all I can afford. And but I mean, see a guy like you, and now you work at L3 House, and you're a genius with all this. I know what you do and stuff. And when it comes to electronics or anything like that, you're actually a genius with that. And you're seeing the new stuff coming out all the time, and you're just buying it. More or less.
I don't just buy it. I spend a lot of time researching before I actually
No,
spend
but that's
the
what
money.
I'm saying. You
Yeah.
do your research, and all of a sudden you go, I just got this. And I'm like, wow, the money. So you could now you have your own studio at home.
I do.
Is it soundproof? I mean, how does that work? Does it
Um,
acoustically?
no, because I keep getting moved around because of the grandkids. So,
Yeah.
so I had my studio space set up, and
Right.
then my sister moved in for a while. She moved out, and my daughter said, "Well, you're not getting it back because I'm going to give it to the kids so that they can use it as a playroom."
Right,
So
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
kind of stuck in a corner of the living room now.
So, but acoustically, isn't a big deal, or not to you with the way the technology is?
Well, yes, with the technology that we have nowadays, I can direct in all of my guitar sounds,
Right, right,
my
yeah.
vocals. Actually, some of the vocals that are on my release tracks were actually recorded in my living room.
Right.
As long as I'm careful when I'm recording, I can get really good quality recordings right there.
Right.
And the mixing, of course, that really doesn't matter. What's really important is having a good quality set of headphones and monitors.
Right.
But most of my mixing happens through the headphones because I don't have the room acoustics to deal with at that point.
But you can go to places. Is there places? I mean, even
Yeah.
like where we are right now.
Yeah, so yes, there are places like this, and there's actually a studio over in Milford, Clark Creative Recordings, where I do a lot of tracks.
Okay.
All the horn sections that are on my songs right now,
Right.
they come right out of there. I use local horn players because they're just awesome.
That's so
These
cool.
these guys we've hooked up with a couple of guys that one guy plays the sax and he does the actual scores for me for the horn parts.
Right, right.
And then trumpet player. These guys are the trumpet player's my age, so he's been doing this teaching
yeah.
for years and years. So they put these parts together, and Mike Clark over there is just an amazing engineer. So I go over there and we sit down and we hash things out, and we'll do a lot of the final mixing there. So I'll do recording of tracks. We'll send the tracks out. We'll collect them, and then I'll go over there and we'll sit down and I can sit back and actually be the producer instead of having to do the mixing and say, this is what I'm hearing. I want to get this effect. And we'll play with that, and then we'll send it off to somebody to do the final mastering.
Right.
So everything on this first EP, which should be closing up with this last song that I released, will all be professional musicians and mastering all the way through.
And they, when you see, my thing is, so you get these songs, and I've heard your songs. You're good. Where do they go? Right on YouTube? You send them right on YouTube, or how does that work once you get your song?
So being an independent musician nowadays, it's far easier than it ever was before.
it's easier.
Yes,
I would think.
it's harder for you to get people to listen to your music.
That's right, yeah,
But
yeah.
for it to be able to be available for people to listen to, it's much
easier,
easier.
right? Yeah.
So I use a company called CD Baby, and I don't get any endorsements from them. They distribute my music wherever I ask them to. So it goes to YouTube, it goes to
Oh, that's
Spotify and Amazon and Apple, and there's like 100 places that they send it to. It's interesting that lately I've been getting a lot of plays from Chinese versions of Spotify. So there's competitors in China and there's competitors in India,
Right, yeah.
and I'm getting these notifications that my music is being played in those locations. Talk about making no money.
Wow. Yeah.
Spotify pays, I don't know, somewhere around 0.03 cents every
Yeah.
time somebody
Depending on
plays
yeah,
it.
yeah.
When I'm trying to remember the name of one of the services, but when they play your song one time, you
Right.
get 0.00001 cents per
Yeah,
play.
It adds up.
Yeah. A few million plays and you get $1 out of them.
Wow.
So yeah, there's not a lot of money there.
So all right. So now, and you see, you've played the game. You played the game for the last couple of years.
Yep.
You know how it works. What's your plan? What's your plan so that you can? Hey, because as you're talking to all these guys, these beautiful musicians all over they gotta know something or someone, or you know what I'm saying, that gets you. Go here, Mark. Go here. You got to talk to this guy, or is that already happening?
Well, it happens, and it's part of the reason I'm going to Nashville this summer is to begin networking with these people that are writing the songs and being able to get their songs out to other people.
Right.
So
Right, yeah.
I'm not confident that as a performer necessarily I will be able to sell my songs, but if I write the songs and I can get them into a format that somebody else might be able to perform, then that would be a possible way of actually.
So for the
making a
songs
living.
you've done, how many songs do you think you've done already? And I know you've thrown a lot of them out. If all of a sudden someone says, "Wow, I like that song," what happens there? Do they contact you saying, "This is what I want to do with you," or "This is how I want to buy your music"?
Well, so you got all kinds of different options,
okay.
and it depends on the situation. If a publisher gets hold of you because they like your music, then they're going to want to take a cut. They're going to want to publish you.
Right.
So they're going to get you in contact with somebody. If they get in touch with somebody and they like the music, then they're going to buy it through the publisher. So you have a deal that way.
Right.
If it's a solo thing where somebody just reaches out to me, then it can be whatever. Sometimes you get credit for the song. Sometimes you split up the cuts of how it gets distributed. Or
That's good money, right? It could be, depending on.
Yeah, if you get 30 million hits
Right.
on Spotify, or if people buy it. I mean, the real money comes when you're performing live. So
you don't want to do that.
I
Right.
don't know that I want to do that. I'm getting closer to maybe.
With the right performers.
Yes.
Yeah, and you just, because, as I say, you're kind of a humble guy, but you're better than you think you are, and you just want to blend in the background, I think.
I do like it in the background.
Yeah, and which is good. But I mean, if you have that much confidence in what you do, and as I say, I don't know how you want to reach out to people even here to listen to your songs, but they are good. I've known you all these years. Never knew you had that kind of talent for the music. I mean, for singing. Your
Right.
voice is good, and the arrangements are unbelievable. But you're putting a lot of time and money into the arrangements.
I do.
You do a lot, and you get the right people.
I do.
Yeah,
There's a little doubt in my mind about that.
yeah. It's just it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch as someone that you've known, and like I say, it's a passion. And just like a passion for the martial arts that you're in, or and things you've done your whole life, you set your mind to it, and that's it. You're going for it.
Yes, and,
All
that's where we come back to the training part of the thing.
That's right. It's
so
the training. You train hard, and music is training.
It really is.
And it's not even like whether you're doing the sound or the lights. You've had to train yourself how to do it right.
Yes.
And study. And people go, "Oh, you're lucky you can play this," or you're not lucky. How many thousands of hours did you have a guitar in your hand?
Right.
Where your fingers, you're saying, "I can't even do this anymore. My fingers are gone."
Yes.
But I'm really interested, and I think the Nashville thing is just the coolest.
I think it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
Andre is a Berkeley graduate that she's actually one of the people that put together the songwriting class for the Berkeley online curriculum.
She's got her stuff together.
Yes, yes.
and for her to stay with you, knowing that you have the talent, you've got to realize, I do have the talent, and she's going to stay with you and work with you. If she all of a sudden realized, he doesn't understand, but she's staying with you, and that's the thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't. You're a humble guy. Now, a question: when you're doing all this, are you? I know you have cameras and stuff, and are you trying to? If you put a whole thing together on how everything involved around the process in your life, that could be a nice little documentary. Is that a plan too?
Yeah, I'm planning on doing some of the YouTube stuff. I just recently purchased a camera.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of small cameras that I'm going to integrate into an in-home broadcast studio.
As they
type of
say, you
thing.
never stop. I'm tired. I just talking to you, I get tired. Unbelievable. So now you're into the video and the audio and the.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I would like to do. Some of the technical stuff. So I want to have like a tech corner, go through the basics of, help people learn how to do the lighting stuff, how to do some of the sound and audio stuff. There's a lot of really good stuff out there. So I got to find the stuff that I'm having trouble doing. So when I'm trying to learn new stuff and I can't find something, then I'm going to sit down and figure it out and then do it, some sort of little podcast or video on how to do that.
Yeah.
I'm still in my head trying to determine whether I need to start another channel to separate it from the Hidden Hollow, just to make sure that the technical stuff and the music stuff maybe need to be different. I haven't quite figured that one out yet, but I'm still trying to figure out how to get traffic to my the Hidden Hollow site so that people will actually listen to the music.
Right. Well, so your Facebook and Instagram and are you everything multimedia or no? And maybe that's a good way to go because that's where the people are there.
Right.
You know?
So, Facebook is a big thing, and much as it pains me to say it, the Facebook advertising actually works. So whenever I release a new song, I pay for a little bit of advertising, and it gets me a lot of notice.
Right.
So the songs get listened to quite a bit, which surprised me. Instagram, I'm not on Instagram because when I tried to open an Instagram account, they sent me a pop-up thing that said, "You're acting like a robot. We're not going to let you continue."
Well,
And I said, "Okay, I won't deal with your platform then."
but Instagram is as I'm watching the younger people and
It's a big thing. Yeah,
It's-
TikTok is also a major thing, and
Oh,
I
my
can't figure
God.
that platform out for the life of me.
wow, that's what I'm saying. I would never. But a guy like you, I mean, you know that plan. You can get into there.
I can probably figure it out, but I don't know if I have the desire to.
All the time.
Yeah.
But like you say, TikTok, Reels. I don't know what Reels are. Reels is every 2 seconds. I'm looking and I'm like, there's something new, and they'll pop up on Facebook. They'll pop up on Instagram, and it's a whole different world.
Right.
And there's something new every day.
And that's the biggest thing about getting somebody to actually listen to your music,
Right.
is that Spotify says they have 70 million songs on their platform,
Right.
and tens of thousands of new songs are being released every single day. So finding a way to get somebody to actually listen to your song is quite challenging.
Right.
All of the services, so Spotify, Amazon, iTunes,
Right.
they all have interfaces for artists. So I have an artist account on each of those platforms, and I can actually go in and I can see where my music is being played and how often it's being played, what songs are being played.
Okay.
And I find that that's an interesting thing
Right.
to do.
Right.
I know that, for instance, on iTunes, almost all of my audience is in the Midwest. A couple of little splotches here and there, but the Midwest.
Is that a country theme?
Actually, it's not.
It's not. Wow.
It's distilled, aged and blended.
Now, when you say distilled age, just so people, is that
That's
an
the name-
album?
No, that's the name of one of my songs.
of the song.
Yep.
And Hidden Hollow. Do you have like an album or whole set that's under Hidden Hollow? Or
I've just been doing solo releases, single releases right now.
And they can find that.
I'm Hidden Hollow as an artist
Right.
on any of the Spotify or
Okay. So Hidden Hollow, and that's an easy name to kind of remember. I like
kind
that
of.
name. Yeah.
On YouTube, it's Hidden Hollow Music,
Okay.
Hidden Hollow Band,
It's a good song. Yeah,
and
good name.
my website is hiddenhollowmusic.com.
Right.
And that gets you to any of the other places if you can find your way
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
but yeah, it's interesting, and I have a version of the first song that I released. I have a version with vocals and one without. And on the iTunes platform, they play the version without the vocals.
Wow.
The same number of times that they play Distilled, which is two totally different types of music. And it's interesting that they play almost the same number. So it's like these people have put me on their playlist,
Right.
both the songs,
Yeah.
because they pop up the same number of times.
Okay.
And then when I go onto Spotify, they're playing the vocal version of it and never play the other version of it.
And you don't have a say in that. It's
No,
just-
no. This is just what people play.
Oh, what people are playing.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's just
okay.
what they're playing.
Okay. Wow,
so-
that's yeah, and it's kind of a word of mouth, or
Yeah, I suspect because, and again, probably from Facebook to start with,
right.
because again, you can watch when the plays are happening. You get spikes. So when I'm advertising, I get a big spike in the plays. I get a big spike in, especially the YouTube channel.
Right.
That's where most of my plays are. I have thousands of
Right.
streams on
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, and because boy, it's you talk like it's so easy for a layman to understand. Sometimes he's just saying, I'm like, wow, he's just off on another world. You really have a talent, and that talent is knowing, especially the equipment that you're using. You're using the equipment and the people that you deal with. That's a kind of talent right there. How you're reaching out and grabbing these people. I mean, not too many people in this world can do that.
There's 3 or 4 people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You say it like it's nothing, and I talk to you, I go, I'm exhausted. I mean, to reach out and grab these great musicians and them to really get into your music, wow, I mean, something's got to be clicking. Something's got to snap.
Well, you got to remember, these guys are studio musicians.
Yeah.
That's what they do. That's how they make their living.
But they wouldn't play around with you if you didn't know what you were doing. You know that. They're not going to waste their time. So they're saying, this guy's got something going on. And it's great to watch. I'm just dying to see you just, all of a sudden they're going, oh, there's Mr. Mark Skedler. I mean, it's, when you do play with these guys, if you ever get something going on Facebook, that would be the greatest thing in the world to watch. I mean, could you ever get together? Like, say you go to Nashville and play.
Well, so I'm kind of working on that right now because part of my plan for going to Nashville is to meet some of these people face to face
Right.
that I haven't met face to face
Right,
yet.
yeah.
The timing's off a little bit for a few of them. So Martin Motnick is going to be on tour in Europe at the time, so I'm not going to be able to get together with him.
Yeah.
I reached out to Bart, and we're negotiating on what it's going to take to get him from Oklahoma to Nashville. My plan is to reach out to Tony Mora, who's the drummer on the last song that I released, and see if I can rent his studio when I get there so that people can congregate there, and we'll have a meet and greet and maybe a little videotape
And play.
and play. And maybe even record a song. I've got a
That's-
couple of songs that are still in my pocket that
Right.
I want to start working on. So
That
if
is
nothing else,
incredible.
maybe we just start it there.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it would be a lot more fun, a lot more dynamic. It would be like being even if it's just being in the basement with a band, where you can toss things back and forth. It's like right there, I don't want you to do that. Can you do something like
Right,
this?
right.
A lot of times,
And the best of the best,
Yeah.
giving their opinion because they've been around.
right.
Wow, that is the coolest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's in the works right now. I'm hoping to pull that
When
off.
do you want to do that? Is that like in next year or a year?
So I'm going down in August to the songwriting retreat, and
Right.
I'm hoping to put that on the tail end of it. So I'll be kind of wired from that experience of doing this retreat, and then if I can schedule it, then my sister's flying down. We're going to drive down to Florida afterwards, and do some stuff with my mother. So when she flies down, I want to see if we can meet these people
Yeah.
in the studio and maybe put together a song or two.
right.
And get some live face-to-face type music made.
That is just, it's incredible. I mean, it's as I say, I talk to you and I'm like, wow, because I never stop. I've got a million things going on, but compared to you, I'm just sitting still. I mean, you've got some stuff going on, and running and have a family and work at L3 Harris. That's just your mind is constantly racing. Now, do you write so? Say you go home and all of a sudden maybe you want to go fall asleep, whatever, and you get a song in your head. Do you just get right up and start writing? How do you work that
Yeah,
process?
I do.
You'll get right up.
I keep a notebook at my desk, and I keep a notebook sometimes by my nightstand on my bed.
Yeah.
But more times than not, it's spinning in my head when I'm waking up.
Right.
So I'll get into the shower and kind of finish the formulation, and then I'll head for my desk and I'll write down.
You got to write it down
Yeah.
because you can't forget it.
No, because
Yeah.
you get these really nice phrases
Right.
that just kind of pop into your head, and then I have to analyze. It's like, okay, so I'm in my 7th decade now.
Yeah.
Did I hear this from someone else before, or is this really?
Oh
mine?
yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And or how can I put that together? So sometimes it's a matter of putting a melody to it, making that rhythmic alignment between the words and how they fit together in a sentence structure.
Yeah, and it's the thought at the time. It comes out of
Yeah,
nowhere.
yeah.
And you think about it years ago, and I say years ago, and it's not that many years ago, but you had a thought. You had to go to a tape recorder. You had to put the tape recorder on, and I remember doing that and singing in the song, so I didn't forget it. Now you get your phone.
Right.
You sing to your phone, and it's with you all the time.
Yep.
I bet you got a million songs that you started singing on your phone.
Not a million, but I got 4 or 5.
Yeah. Hey, wait a minute. I can't forget this because that tune just goes in your head.
Yep.
Boy, that is funny. Because I mean, I've loved music my whole life, and to watch the process, like people like yourself that just obsessed with the next move and the next song, and people think it's an easy process. They don't have a clue. The world does not have a clue what you go through.
Yeah,
right?
it is a process.
And it's expensive.
Yes.
It's so expensive.
That's one of the benefits of actually having a band.
Yeah.
Is that you can have people contributing,
Everyone puts in,
and you don't have to, pay all of the musicians to be able. So all you got to do
and
is
that's
come
what
up
you're
with
doing.
studio
You've
time.
been doing that.
Yes, I've been paying the musicians. But the flip side of that is the number of times that I have been in bands, it's really hard to get people to coordinate unless you're a professional touring band, and I've never really been that.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's easier for me to get what I want if I just pay somebody to do it. Yeah.
But they want some money too. I mean,
Well, everybody needs to make a living.
That's right. Yeah. And it's wow. So, do you find yourself? What do you practice every night, or do you practice?
I was just thinking this morning that I haven't picked up my guitar for like 4 days, and I'm going, "What the heck are you doing?"
Oh yeah.
Because I've just been buried in outside work.
Everything.
So I did a show last weekend for April Cushman. Did the lights. Last weekend I did a wedding.
That's the money you're getting to
Yep.
to pay these people. Oh my God! So when everything happens, if all of a sudden it happens, you can do it all. Don't worry, we don't need a light man, we don't need a sound guy. I'll do it all,
Yeah.
and then I'll play. So again, I don't want to get off the subject of what do you practice, like an hour, when you do, or 2 or 3 hours. How does that work?
That's how it works.
Picked up the guitar.
You
and
pick
you're
up the
off.
guitar and
Hours go by.
sometimes yes. Sometimes all I'm doing is just trying to keep my fingers nimble.
Right.
So
Oh,
I
yeah.
might, my brain might be fried from the real job.
Right.
Don't really want to focus on
Right.
being creative. I just want to be creative. So I might even be watching television, and I just sit there and I do riffs on the
Play some
the
old
keyboard
songs.
and play some
old
songs.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And I don't typically do a lot of cover music, but I've started going through some of these older songs that I really like, and trying to make them my own. So
So when you say that, are you saying a cover song that you try to make your own, or
Yep.
you? Okay, so if you were to do that, say all of a sudden, Let It Be. Let's just say any song, and you say, wait a minute, I could do something with this. What's the copyright infringements, or what happens there if you come up with something really nice?
well, so
You can't use that song, of course.
You
But
can. Well, you can't use their song.
Right.
You can make your recording of it. The issue comes into making sure that everybody has the rights to it. So I can't take the rights for writing the song.
Right,
I
right, yeah.
I have to make sure that that author or authors or whoever owns the song
Okay.
gets the credit for that. So any money that gets made off of that
Oh,
goes
so the
to
money.
them.
Oh, there you go. So that's good for them
It is
in a way. Okay, okay.
But if I've produced the song, I can take the producer's cut. So I own that portion of it because it's a different version of the song.
Right, right, yeah.
There are companies that actually allow you to legally purchase mechanics rights, which is the rights that you need to be able to actually print it and sell it, as opposed to just recording it. So there's the recording part of it, there's the songwriting part of it, there's the distribution part of it. So things get kind of complicated
You think?
along the way. YouTube has is an interesting kind of approach to it all. If you just want to record somebody else's song because you want to record it,
Right.
and record yourself playing that music, you can put it on YouTube, and YouTube says, "Oh, this song belongs to," and they give them all the money. So you put it out there. Whoever owns that song,
Right. That's good for
takes the
them.
money. It is good for them.
But then, but now all of a sudden, you could be a budding artist. People go, "Whoa,
Well,
who is
so
this?"
well, and
That's what it's
to your
all-
point,
Yeah.
if I put it out there and 10 million people see
Okay,
it,
that's fine.
I've got 10 million people that are
That's-
seeing it.
there you go.
It's like,
and you can advertise yourself.
yes,
Saying,
yeah, I can have all my stuff
wow,
there as
that's
well.
beautiful.
So,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Facebook is going through some transitions, and I've actually never put my music on Facebook to see
Right.
how it plays there.
Right.
I typically point it to my YouTube channel.
YouTube, right? Yeah.
But that's one of the avenues that I'm going to kind of look at with
Right.
the next song release, or maybe when I do the EP as a collection release, pushing it out through that environment, maybe putting it on the Facebook platform and seeing how the music does out there.
All right. So you say EP as a collection. Can you put it on a CD or however they sell it? Vinyl? I
Yep,
know
yep.
vinyl. Do you do any of that?
Well, so it's by default, it's part of Amazon and iTunes,
right.
where if you are an iTunes member, actually, I don't even think you have to be an iTunes member. You can go onto their platform and you can say, "I like this song. I want to download it," and they charge you $1.
Okay.
And I get 60 cents of that.
Okay. Well.
Or you
yeah.
contact me and I get the whole buck.
All right. and yeah. Now, are there CDs at all? Or are there things for your car? I mean,
Yeah, I haven't printed anything yet because
Right.
I'm not going to do singles.
Right.
And
or an album. An album.
well, so that's the EP. So there'll be 5 songs on that, maybe
Right.
a bonus track.
Yeah.
At that point, I'm going to take a look at if it's viable to actually burn CDs that people can.
And you could burn your own, or is that how would that work?
Yeah, I can burn my own and sell them, distribute them any way I want. I could do it through CD Baby.
Right.
They would then I could just have a link that goes to a place where you could pick them up from them, or some of the people nowadays are selling them on thumb drives and things like that rather than the CDs.
Wow, it's just getting out of control. There's just too much technology. Before it was a vinyl. You put it on a record player, and now it's just out of control everywhere.
Yep.
As you say, and it's good, but then is it saturated? As you say, it's everything saturated. You got to get your name out there, and what else is he going to do?
Yeah,
so that people grab onto you.
It's a matter of finding the right audience, and I think part of my issue is that I confuse the people who might be listening to the music because it is such a strange blend. So I'm thinking that the extension of this project will be to break it down into genres and say, okay, I've got this rock, swing, horn stuff. Let's make a whole album that's just that kind of music.
Right.
And then I've got this country-ish kind of stuff. Let's make a whole EP or an album that's just that genre.
Same name, or do you alias out? What do you do?
Well, that's part of the process. I think doing too many things separate from each other
Yeah.
is probably a hindrance because people will begin to get confused as to who you really are. So I'll probably keep moving forward with the Hidden Hollow thing.
Okay.
But I've got another. I've,
Yeah,
sometimes I feel
here we go.
politically motivated,
Here we go.
and
Sometimes I feel like yesterday I did, not today. But
yeah. So I tend to put together these like parody songs.
Okay.
And I think I might spin off a different artist name for that stuff so it doesn't get people, confused with the
Right.
Hidden Hollow.
Right. And what if that person just takes off that
Oh, I don't care.
that's what you want. That's what you're looking for.
If somebody finds something that they like and they want to look in deeper and say, well, okay, this is
that's-
Mark Skedler and he's
yeah.
over here doing this stuff, that's fine.
Well, that you're multi-talented. I mean, you have a well, you love music, and music is music. I mean, I'm not a country guy, but man, I'm starting to like a lot of stuff. It's the old twang I didn't like.
Right.
But the new country isn't what it used to be in my world.
Right.
Some of these guys, I'm like,
it's rock crossover.
yeah,
is kind of what it
and
is.
their voices, and and if you can get into that, and I guess country is the biggest thing in the U.S. I mean,
Yeah. Yep.
my
It really is.
kids are into it, and I was like, country, we're rock and roll people, and all of a sudden I'm like, I do like that one.
Yeah.
Oh, I do like that one, And I they've listened to your music, and especially my daughter, she says, wow, that's Mr. Skedler, because you remember my daughter from
Yeah.
way back. Like, yeah, Mike
I remember
never.
her way back.
Oh yeah, way back now. Yeah, 32 now, but that's pretty cool. So that's the kind of country that you're working for. Is the
I don't want to say it's country. It's just country-ish. So,
Okay,
I'm
okay.
using fiddles. Bart Wildberg is an extraordinary guitar in whatever
Right.
genre I kind
Yeah.
of plug him into.
right,
And we've known each other since literally the 70s.
right, yeah,
But he is really skilled at this country sound out of his guitar. So even though the song isn't really a true old country kind of thing, he's got
Okay,
this
yeah.
steel guitar kind of sound that he
Yeah.
emulates with his Telecaster. I've got some phenomenal bluegrass players that are doing the fiddle parts. And so when you get all said and done, this has this country feel to it. My voice is country-ish.
right.
I don't know if it qualifies for country. It's
Okay,
just
yeah.
it's
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Country isn't what it used to
No,
be.
no.
Country right now is. I'll look at my wife and go, that this guy's almost rock and roll. She's going, yeah, it's country, but they incorporated a lot of rock,
Yep.
and it's like I like that.
and a lot of lights and a lot of big sound systems.
Yeah. You're getting yourself ready.
Yeah.
You're getting that bug. I can't wait to see what goes on there. And so your family, they must be excited watching you. And you know what? To them, it's like, oh, there he goes.
Yeah.
Right? There he goes. He's off on a tangent.
Well,
He's going.
So my oldest daughter's boyfriend, I torture any new person in my house.
Of course
I make
you
him
would. That's
listen to
you.
my music. So she, I had him come in and I had him listen to the newest track that I'm working on that hasn't been released yet.
Yeah.
It's called Schizo. That one's going to be coming out
Oh,
soon.
there you go, yeah.
That's a kind of a rocker.
Yeah.
I got a horn section in it. It sounds. I love it actually.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a really good song. But he listened to it and he goes to my daughter. He says, "Have you heard your father's new song?" And she says, "I think I probably heard all of them a whole bunch of times."
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. And then they take it, it's like second nature.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they pretty much just consider it's music. And my grandson actually knows the words to most of my songs. So he's
that's
9
just
years old. He's in the
that's
back seat of the
coolest.
car after baseball practice, and it's
Good
like,
for him. Wow,
"Hey,
that's
this
a-
is your song." It's like, "Yeah, this is my
Yeah.
song."
Oh, that's just the coolest. Good for you. I enjoy watching that because every time I talk to you, there's something different, or you send me something, and I like watching the reaction even with my family. My son knows you. You know my son.
Yep.
And I'm like, look at Mark's going now. He's going, wow. Because, my son, I mean, people who were around music their whole life, you know how hard it is. And I wouldn't even imagine to know how hard it is now with today's technology. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, in this, we're talking 70s, 80s, and and now all of a sudden it's like it's just everything's exploded, and you're trying to figure out that way. I'll get these people, right? You're trying to figure that out, and no manager. You're managing yourself. You're saying I can't. Never thought of a manager because they would do a lot of the work, or you're just not going to be happy with what they do.
It's neither of those. It's I'm so busy with other aspects that it wouldn't be worth having a manager because I would have to be devoting all of my time to just doing the music.
Yeah, and you don't have that.
And I don't have the desire right now to just be full-time doing this. Yes.
Right now.
So I'm working up to retirement.
I know. I didn't want to say that word because we're not that old.
Yeah, no. which will be hopefully full-time music.
Yeah. Yeah. You and Willie Nelson will be out in Tennessee or whatever, there in Nashville, and
yeah.
Willie's still alive, right?
He was the last time I looked.
Yesterday.
I haven't actually had anything to do with Willie Nelson since I did a show for him doing roadie work.
Did you really?
Back in the 80s.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Wow. So what did you do? They got to tell me what happened there.
It's like I said, when I first moved down here, I had a sound and lighting company.
Right.
And in order to try and survive, I had to expand out beyond my services.
Yeah.
So I started hooking up with these bigger sound companies that were doing these large concerts and festivals, and just being a roadie. I just go out and work on the crews. But I got to meet some amazing people. I have a lot of tales that go along with Meatloaf taking me up on stage and Neil Young throwing me off the stage, and
wow,
it's
there's the documentary I'm talking about. God, the book. What's the Mark schedule? Now, you ever think of writing a book? Yeah, of course you did. I know you did. What am I asking this for? Yeah, just on the life.
The life.
Think about the stories.
I got
Neil Young doesn't throw too many people off the stage.
I'm sure he does.
Oh, well, maybe he does, but you're one of the few. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. To this day, Neil Young comes on the radio, I turn it off.
What about so what about Willie?
That was just a brush by.
Okay.
He's going up on stage, and I was coming off the stage.
I love that, man.
But we did the setup.
Yeah.
There was a number of shows where, because of my skill set, I was maybe one of the last two people on the stage in between shows or whatever, doing the final mic checks and positionings and things like that. So you get to brush up against these people when they're coming on and off the stage.
Yeah. That's good. And Meatloaf?
Meatloaf. Now, that was a good one. It's after Neil Young had already thrown me off the stage. So,
that's a story. That's a whole story. I want to read about that.
So I was coming off the stage again, just doing the final touch-ups on the stage before Meatloaf came on.
Right.
And it was an outdoor show. I think it was Meatloaf, Blue Oyster Cult, and Foghat.
Wow. Jesus.
So I'm coming off the stage, and I get to the back, and he comes out of this is the Bat Out of Hell tour, so he's coming out of the tour, out of his trailer with the two twins. So he's got the twins on each arm, and he's coming up the stairs, or heading towards the stairs. And I got to the top of the stairs, and I just stopped, and I said, "Oh no, I'm going to be in trouble again," because I'm supposed to be off the stage before the artist.
Yeah, what are you doing? Yeah.
And that's exactly what he says. He says, "Who are you, and what are you doing on my stage?" And I said, "Well, I'm Mark, and I was just finishing setting up your, checking up your mic stuff before you go on stage." And he says, "Okay."
Yeah.
The exact opposite of Neil Young.
Yeah.
He says, and I said, "Come on up." And he said, "Okay." So he walks up the stairs, and he gets to the top of the stairs, and I get ready. I'm starting to walk down. He says, "Where are you going?" And I says, "I'm going out back." He says, "No." He says, "Come here." I said, "Oh no, now I'm in trouble." And,
again.
And he says, "Follow me." So I walk with him off to the side of the stage, and he's got his grand piano set up there on the right hand side of the stage, and he's got this trunk that has all of his other gear in it.
Yeah.
And he says, "That's your seat for the show."
Whoa! Isn't that the coolest?
I was like, "Okay."
How old were you? How old were you at the time?
26, 27,
oh my God.
something like that.
Wow, and he was the biggest thing at that point.
He was
Bat
really
of
big
Hell
at
was
that
the
point.
best.
Yep.
Wow, that is just phenomenal.
So
You
that
just
was-
sat there?
Yep, sat there the
Didn't
whole
move.
show. Yep.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Meatloaf. Is he still alive?
No,
I'm
he's
losing.
not.
Wow,
No.
he died last year, I think.
It's like 1 or 2 years ago.
Oh, he
Time
was the
flies pretty
best.
fast, but yeah.
Yeah. I had the album, Bat Out of Hell. I
Yep.
could sing that whole album. That was the greatest.
It was a good.
Oh, at that point, yeah, because it was different.
Yes.
It was almost
yeah.
like Queen coming out of nowhere going, what's this?
Right.
And he come out of that, and the Bat Out of Hell go, wow. And you look at him going, he's singing that?
Yep.
I mean, he was the opposite of Captain Rockstar.
Yep.
It didn't matter when
Nope.
you're that good. And then he'd grab the greatest performers to work with him.
Right.
Wow. But that's a good story, Mike.
Yeah,
I
that was
like
a fun
that.
one.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Where's the book? You got to get the book. You need a publisher.
Yeah.
Yeah. I ain't got time for that guy. Well, Mark, I hate to say it, but wow, we've got over an hour here.
Okay.
I've had a ball with you. We're going to get you back here. We'll do some more talking here. Yeah, because I should get your autograph now because maybe I can't deal with Bob.
Yeah.
Anyway. Oh, yeah, he'll over and drink it. Yeah, so hopefully everybody can watch and get on YouTube, get on Facebook, Hidden Hollow, Mark Skedler, and watch what he's in Nashville in a couple of months. Right, Nashville in a couple of months, trying to put some stuff together with some top-notch people.
Yep.
Be looking forward to that, and maybe get you back in a year or so. That'll be nice to see your progress.
Yes.
In your documentary and your book, how that's coming along. So till next time, thank you, Mark. I do appreciate it. Next time, enjoy yourself, and listen. If you have a chance, check out Hidden Hollow.
Thank you.